Hi all, there was a very entertaining game which I was following at the Gibraltar tournament, and as black there was a grandmaster called Emanuel Berg 2606 who had also done very well in the Hastings Congress earlier in the year, and he was playing a slightly higher rated GM, Ganguly 2614, so an Indian grandmaster, top Indian GM, and the thing is, I was following on the demo boards from a certain position, and I ended up, asking if the GM directly, later, what happened, did he win? It was such a fascinating position with his king, seemingly in trouble, but if he could just get his king out of trouble, he would have this ferocious attack. So I'll quickly go over this game for you to show, how did this dramatic situation occur. And I mean, also in passing, I just remember, as a kid, I picked up a book once, which was really dramatic. This epic journey, and someone had started this preparation for this journey to find some treasure in the middle of some ocean or some secret island, and then I lost track of what the book was called, and I always wondered, what would have happened. So this game, at least, is in the PGN game scores, so I'm able to just go to the website and see the whole game from start to finish. So Berg, was black, and we have here a Sicilian defence. So Berg plays A6 here, and after H3, that's quite an unusual move. He strikes out with the centre with E5, so potentially he's weakening the D5 square a bit. After knight D2, he plays knight Bd7, and now white plays G4. So white's going to fianchetto this bishop and try and increase the sort of grip on D5. Berg plays H6, and after bishop G2, now B5. So both sides' play seems quite logical, and black's also going to play bishop B7 and put some pressure on D5. Black, though, doesn't seem to be too concerned about castling kingside in this game. He plays bishop b7. After knight g3, he just plays g6. Now, one of the potential issues with g6 is that his h6 pawn is going to be targeted later. And also, white is going to, be playing f4. So, why isn't black in a hurry to castle? This really sets the scene for a very dramatic turn of events. After f4, now bishop e7. So it's as if the bishop was going to go to g7, which would have been protecting h6. But it seems as though the h6 pawn will be used as bait later. After bishop e3, now Berg took on f4. And after knight e5, black has some dark square control. But is he going to drop this h6 pawn if it's challenged later with queen d2? Because if he plays g5, that would seem to be a major concession. The bishop would go back. White would have a massive f5 square. Anyway, white first actually plays a4, and after b4, now knight d5. So also white's gaining the use of the e4 square now, if the pawn takes on d5. So that knight potentially coming to e4 could be quite dangerous. But Berg, plays rook c8, and after a5, knight fd7. So he's supporting his e5 knight. But still, his king's still in the centre. This pawn is potentially weak. But, there's a road to white's king here, which maybe, makes taking this pawn a bit controversial. After queen d2, Berg actually plays rook c4, so he's seemingly ignoring it. He's using it as a pawn sacrifice now. So, a positional sacrifice, I suppose we could call it. But it's more of a sort of a sacrifice to gain a road to the opponent's king. After b3, he plays rook c5. Almost tempting white just to play knight e4 with tempo, and the knight, would seem to be a powerful, powerfully placed on e4. But Berg just plays rook b5, so quite a bit of provocation. White does take the h6 pawn now, so he judges this as being okay. Berg takes the a5 pawn though. After rook a e1, it looks to be a very dangerous position for black. Theoretically, Rybka actually likes white quite a bit here. A slight advantage to white, 0.60 on a certain depth. But we'll see now. Rook b5, queen f4, check. Then the king moves to h1. So the king is potentially on the same on the same file as the rook now. And rook takes d5. So black's gaining a little bit of material, but with his king still in the centre, you know, is this going to be really dangerous or not? Bishop g7, and now, you know, this rook moves, so he's never going to castle, and now bishop f6. So is white getting done in here? Both, you know, white's rooks are logically placed for the attack, but black has some control of the e5 square. He took on f6, after knight takes, queen takes. Now black plays rook c5. So it seems as though d6 is going to be a potential target. And, you know, a little bit precarious for black. Rook d1, and now queen d8 was played. So offering the exchange of queens, white refuses, queen f4. And now Berg simply plays a5, and after rook d2 we see another sort of doubling of pressure, this time on the d6, you know, after rook d1 to double the rooks. Berg just plays king f1, after rook ft1, now queen e7, so offering d6, which white takes in exchange for c2. So it seems there's some backfires going on here, you know, potential theoretical backfires, that the h6 pawn, although taking it, you know, wins pawn, you know, the rook is kind of active on white's king, and in taking this d6 pawn, this rook here is also, you know, potentially going to be coordinating. So, you know, is white's king getting more and more exposed here, or is black's king in trouble? Well, after queen e4, rook c7, check, and now queen a8, we start to see the dramatic position which I was following with great interest on the demo boards. After rook c3, check, king was forced to h6, rook e1, now f6, seemingly holding things up, but now white plays h4, because he's trying to break black up with g5 and undermine this knight on e5. So it was getting really tense now and dramatic, and, you know, a lot of people were discussing the variations and what black would do. Berg plays rook g3, and now after g5, king h5, so the king is just marching up potentially to g4. This just seems an incredibly dangerous idea, but apparently, you know, black is okay even from a theoretical Ribka perspective. Berg, after rook e8, he plays queen d7, and now there's this, you know, direct threat of like rook h3 in some variations. But white takes on f6, and what's happening with this knight now? Well, Berg just plays knight f3, and it's really difficult now to see how white is defending it, and also getting a black's king. So this has now gone, by the way, beyond what I saw on the demo board, this queen d7. So this is now what happened. After g f6, so knight f3, so white took on f3, and white just sacrificed, black just sacrifices that whole knight, just playing king takes h4. So he's clearing the way now, finally, for his rook on h7 to be a dangerous attacking piece, because king g5 will be like mating with these two rooks. So white plays bishop g2, and now king g5 check, discovered check from the rook. And here, after king g1, queen d4 check, black, although a piece down, this is a really crushing attack, because after king f1, Berg simply takes on f6, and here, if king g1, let's have a look at king g1, then check. Ribka suggests now rook 1 e3, because if king f1, then rook f7 is mating. So white's really in trouble. This didn't happen in the game. In the game, after check, white played king e2, but now queen b2 check, forced resignation, because if king d1, then rook d3 is mate, and if king f1, then again this lethal rook f7. So these rooks have beautifully coordinated in the end. And let's see this mating sequence here. Just check, and if king h1, now rook h7. So amazing, isn't it, how these rooks coordinated? So that's what happened after. I hope you enjoyed that. One last thing, Berg, when I asked him about the game, he sort of had in mind some variations where he'll be sacking both rooks. I thought, wow. And also, he got really, really short of time. And it was the increment which really saved him. He only had like 2 minutes left to play a lot of moves. But because of the 1 minute move, he managed to, recover on the clock and eventually, win. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please leave any comments on YouTube. Thanks very much.